all you literary legends and luminaries. I'm Julie and welcome to Write Smart. Today I'm going to talk about Yiyun Li's memoir, Things in Nature Merely Grow. Everyone raves about Joan Didion's books, especially The Year of Magical Thinking, but Li's Things in Nature Merely Grow is light years beyond what Didion wrote, at least in my opinion. I suppose Li does not have the presence or popularity of Didion, so perhaps that's why Things in Nature Merely Grow is not a bestseller like Didion's books. But it was such a powerful book with such poetic prose and profound thoughts and nuggets of wisdom. The premise of the book is grim. Li's son, Vincent, commits suicide when he's 16. Then her other son, James, commits suicide when he's 19, 7 years after Vincent. I cannot fathom what she went through as a mother, and I cannot fathom what life was like for James when his brother committed suicide. Yet I found Li's memoir touching and realistic. This is not a self-help book about grief or suicide or mental illness. This is a memoir. Li has no answers, only what she did and what she experienced. I had so many tabs marked in this book that I wrote all of the passages down that I wanted because what she writes is so beautiful and profound. She wrote, "Living is not about a single point. There is not a single point in time or space that can become life itself." There were so many sentences in this book like that. It caused me to pause and ponder. For me, those are the best kinds of books, the ones you can't read fast because they demand you chew on their words, that you apply their words, that the words have much more life off the page than on the page. Reading books like this inspire my own writing, no matter if I can relate to the experiences within the book or not. Its relatability is not the concern. It's that the book made me think and made me long to be able to write with such symbolism and knowledge and succinctness. When people couldn't understand why Li wasn't mad at the world for what happened, she wrote this, and I quote, "I have rarely found angry people illuminating or inspiring. Too often their anger, a feeling, a reaction, an interpretation, is presented as fact or worse, truth." Let me say that again. I have rarely found angry people illuminating or inspiring. Too often their anger, a feeling, a reaction, interpretation is presented as fact or worse, truth. In our very volatile world right now, isn't that a powerful statement? Li finds the strength to keep living. She even continues her piano lessons. She writes what I think is the most powerful statement about how to deal with grief. Here's what she wrote. "Time has to be marked before the next day arrives. Anything that keeps a body moving and a mind focused on the immediate present is marking time. Anything that marks time falls into the realm of the living." We are all still alive even after the utmost tragedy. Li spends a lot of time in the book ruminating on how could she miss the warning signs and were there even warning signs. She wrote this, "Intuitions are narratives about potentials, possibilities, and alternatives. In that sense, intuitions are fiction. Until, once confirmed by fact, they become facts." It's a clever statement when our gut tells us to do something and then that something works out or doesn't based on what our gut is telling us. We say it's always important to trust our gut, our intuition. But when we trust our gut and the opposite happens, we rarely talk about this mistake of said intuition. It's fascinating. I found the book very philosophical, that Li was writing about much more than just her son's suicide, that by experiencing such grief, she was able to reach so much further within existence and life. To the people that had plenty to say about her son's suicide, she wrote this, "It is a sense of superiority that makes people insensitive, or more precisely, a deep sense of fear. Where you are is where I don't want to be, so I had better condemn you first to ensure my safety." How often have we all been on the receiving end of that insensitivity when something horrible happens to us? To the mean people, she wrote this, "I am sorry for whatever losses you have suffered or whatever deficiencies you were born with that make you unavoidably who you are and what you are." And then this, "People can hurt only our feelings, not our thinking, not unless we let go of the independence of our minds. And people who intentionally or unintentionally hurt other people, I have come to the conclusion that they cannot help themselves and they cannot be helped." Wow, what a statement. It's these types of books that make me want to write. Li has taken a tragic event, two tragic events, and has somehow found the words to explain such tragedies, to share with her reader the experience. how she found the will to keep living, what it's like to deal with cruel people, what it's like to keep living. This book taught me so much about memoir writing, about how to write, about how to tap into those universal elements and feelings of life. Li writes this about writing. Words, words, words. Words form castles on the solid ground and in the cloud. Words become armors and prison walls. Words make riptides and quicksands. One can never take words for granted. One cannot always trust words. And yet, where else can my mind live but in words? Things in Nature Merely Grow should be on your to read list. The tone in which Li writes is surprisingly peaceful despite the tragedies. It's wise. It's about being alive. It also puts your own life in perspective. Here's a woman who could be angry, who could blame the world, who could take it out on everyone, yet she doesn't. She has this sort of quiet strength, even though you can sense this depression, but her readers find understanding in what she writes. It's magical what memoirs can do for us, and Li's book is a shining example of that, plain and simple. Thanks for watching. As always, my goal at Write Smart is to write books so that we can read books and get a little bit smarter, one book at a time.